Not too difficult to determine which way the wind is blowing. Just look at the grass, we can see it's blowing straight down the field. It's quite a stiff breeze, so this is definitely a day for a sled kite. So what I'm going to do here is run out about 75 feet of flying line down to the fence down there. I'm going to use one of those fence posts down there as the tether. So that's what I'm up to. Just put the tether around the rubber bungee around the fence post, tie a knot in the end of it, and I will now show you how to loop the flying line around the knot. You can see that I've produced a sort of a slip knot here quite easily. It's just take a loop and pull it back through itself, and you just simply make sure that the loop is over the knot like this, so that when the kite is pulling like that, then it is pulling on the rubber bungee. For safety, I shall put a big loop around the post in case the rubber bungee snaps. Not likely to, but it's just a safety precaution. We have 70 or 80 feet of line out, so that when the aerial is in the air, the bottom of the lower arm of the aerial is probably about 50 feet above the ground. So now we're going to lay out the aerial and connect it to this flying line. Right, I'm going to connect the aerial to the flying line with the same sort of slip knot, same sort of type of slip knot that I used to connect it to the flying line at the bottom, so that as it pulls, then it will tighten up. As you can see there, we've now got one end of the aerial connected. Right, here we are with the other end of the aerial. What I've actually done is I've stretched it right out. The reason being, you could just chuck it all out on the floor, put the kite on and just let it pull it out gently, but doing it like this, it does give you an idea of where your kite is going to go. If it swings around, is it going to hit any trees, or is it going to drop across those low power lines over there, or just where it's going to go if it starts weaving around and falls down. So it's better to stretch the aerial out and then connect the kite up afterwards. So here we are, here's the feed point of the aerial. So what I'm going to do is just bring the car over to about here, knowing this is roughly where the feeder is going to come down, to be able to connect to the car. Right, that's got the car in a position, and of course, just to help things, it's started to rain, but how about that for a rainbow? Well, 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 the things you see when you're flying kites. Okay, ballon with a screwdriver in it, so we're getting lifted up in the air, and of course earth stake, and ballon connected to matching unit, which is earth, before we attempt to lift the aerial. But the rain's getting too much for me with a double rainbow, so I'm going to pack it in for a minute. Now what I've got here is a 50-foot leader for going between the aerial and the kite, and you'll notice on the kite end of the leader is a double loop of 50-pound breaking strain line. In other words, it's a weak link, because if you're going to get a break through a heavy squall of wind or a snatch or something like this, you really want it to break at the kite, because then the kite with nothing to pull against will just come down. The sled kite will just fold up, come down. You may have to go a field or two to collect it, but it will come down. What you don't want is the breakage to occur well down the line somewhere, otherwise you've got a kite with a few hundred feet of wire barreling across the countryside, draping itself over power lines and God knows what. So that is what you need to do, is put a weak link just under the kite. Here we are again, same loop link between the aerial and the flying line of the kite. So let's stretch the flying line out and go and put the kite on.